Alright, let's try this again. So this is my reactions to Whitaker's Anatomy of an Epidemic. In chapter 6, Whitaker mentions that psychotropic drugs that our clients are prescribed are detrimental to their overall health and well-being. And I say that because your brain, the drugs are eating away and shrinking the frontal lobe, in which in the end is making our clients so they can't think, and which is very negative. I don't think we should, no pun intended, I don't think we should have our clients on medications that are going to do harm to them. I was glad to see that Whitaker backed up his statistical information with evidence-based studies throughout the whole book. He didn't just take stats and throw it in our face and let us go. He told us the stats, where they came from, and I really enjoyed this book because of that. This book also has made me second guess my own mental health history. It's very extensive, and it made me question, is all the medications that I'm prescribed vital to my own recovery, or can I do it without being on medications? If a client asks me, why me? Why do I have to have mental illness? I would tell my client the following statements. There is no exact reasoning why anyone is subject to have a mental illness. It's an overall combination of their environmental factors. And you can also find that on medicinenet.com. Just because he or she is diagnosed with a mental illness, they are not defined or bound by the title or stereotype that is associated with that diagnosis. I would also provide my client with supportive worksheets that will educate him or her on their specific diagnosis and educate them on the different medications, such as Thorazine, that can help treat their mental illness, in which Thorazine was thrown around in this book quite a bit because it was created probably 70 years ago to treat schizophrenia. My thoughts about the recovery process and how I can put it to use is, I think the recovery model has been structured to identify a client's obligation pertaining to each subcategory, being subcategories of the community, their health, their home, and their purpose. And that is also found at samhsa.gov. I would have my client identify what he or she does in each of those categories, in which would basically breaks it down into the person and environment perspective, in which that you can also find at socialwork.oxfordre.com. I believe that if a person can get a positive reaction, if a social worker, case manager, no matter what it be, if you can get a positive reaction from that client so they understand what their purpose is, I think you have a better chance at getting them into recovery. Stopping the stigma. That is a tough one, because I don't think you can stop the stigma. There's always going to be people out there that want to look down upon individuals that have mental illness. All we can really do as educators and social workers is be up to date on knowledge like Whitaker. Know what we're talking about and educate others that are not educated on mental illnesses. You could be mindful of the terminology to describe individuals, Because if I went around and said someone was a retard, that's not politically correct or socially correct. That's not how we describe individuals. I would give my first-hand experience of dealing with my own mental illnesses. Like I mentioned before, there's quite a bit. And I would treat everyone as equals. You know, everyone is the same, even if they have a mental illness. And you can find that information on mendthemind.ca. How Whitaker's book and other resources influenced my thoughts. With reading Whitaker's book and gathering other pertinent information about mental illnesses, I was able to get a better understanding how it is for my clients that suffer from mental illnesses that I don't suffer for, such as schizophrenia. I don't have that, so I can't really grasp what they're going through without being knowledgeable on that topic. According to Whitaker, he mentioned that individuals in the 1940s and 1950s were released from psychiatric hospitals back into the community with their loved ones. They were not in hospitals no more. They were out and about. They were getting jobs. Back in the community working. Being a successful part of the community. Because SSI and SSDI was not available at that time. I think individuals nowadays, now that we have SSI and SSDI, use that as a crutch so that they don't have to work. And I think that's something that we should really take a look at and alter. And in 2017, there were over 8 million individuals signed up for SSI, SSDI. And I found that stat right on SSA.gov. My overall take-home message that I would want everyone to understand is, like Whitaker said, mental illness is a person's way of life, but it does not define who they are. We could treat mental illness, we could treat our clients that have mental illness with medications to limit their symptoms, but in the end, the medications are going to have a long-lasting effect on our clients' bodies that are irreversible, such as the shrinking of the frontal lobe. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, 1 in 6 U.S. adults lives with mental illness. 1 in 6. That's quite a bit. And if I would have to say, I think that's going to go up to probably 1 in 4 over the next 15 years. Thank you.